Good day. I'm Iris Ruth Pastor, and I'm here for a little small talk with Sam Port, who is a Jewish entertainer who grew up in Tampa and now makes his home in New York City. Welcome, Sam.
Hi there. This is fun.
It's going to be great.
Okay.
First of all, I just want to start off by saying your parents are Marty and Barbara Port, and they're very well known in this community, and they are fine and wonderful folk. And
Nice.
I wanted to ask you, having parents like them, what was it like growing up Jewish in Tampa? And what were the influence on you that has kept Judaism alive in your mind and heart now that you're a young adult?
Well, I actually do have a point I want to get to with that. It'll come in a second. But it's never actually been a choice. I mean, growing up, but at the same time, it's been something that I've gone to Sunday school for however many years, and Hebrew school, and it's one of those rites of passage, I think, for every young conservative Jewish kid. And when you're little, you think, oh man, when I have my bar mitzvah, that's it, I'm done. But it's funny how this stuff kind of comes back to you. And I did do USY on Wheels, and I did USY pilgrimage to Israel in high school. But most recently, I was working on a cruise ship. Oh, and I'm sorry, I went to Camp Ramah for 5 years as well. So,
okay. I was going to ask you about summer camp.
Yeah. So I went, but I worked on a cruise ship about a year ago, and I had a lot of free time. And on Fridays, I decided I just wanted to start leading Shabbat services for the passengers, and turned it into an event that actually meant something to me. I think because I needed that in my life, whereas before it's something that's kind of you just do it. You go through the motions, but when you need it, that's when I think it's the most important. And I just loved Shabbat. So I look forward to it. The whole point of it was to relax and get to know the passengers and have a little oneg together. And I think that was what's been most meaningful, is how I've wanted it now in my life, in my mid-20s.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about your career change. You had been a theme park manager, and now you're involved in making a living being an actor and a singer, and I was just wondering how that sea change came about.
So anyone who's known me my whole life, especially at Rodeph Sholom, would know I'm just been this coaster enthusiast. I'm borderline freak for my whole life. Drawing roller coasters, fantasizing about roller coasters during Yom Kippur services or whatever.
You're also a comedic actor.
Thank you very much. No, I was very, obviously focusing on the text. Yeah. Anyway, so I always wanted to have a career in theme park management and roller coaster design and all this stuff. I ended up going to college. I went to Cornell University for their hospitality program to end up becoming a theme park manager, and throughout college, ended up working in different parks. And right after school, after college, worked for Disney at Epcot theme park as a operations manager. And at that time, I was 22. It was a very tough, very rewarding experience. But I also started to realize that I had this other passion for singing and acting, and I did it for fun in high school and in college. But I kind of I had this itch to see what I could do with it professionally. So I did kind of take a leap of faith. I did end my time with Disney, and on a good note. But I just needed to pursue this other passion, and it's been a lot better than I ever anticipated, and in terms of consistent work and some of the experiences I've had. So I'm actually very happy to be doing this now, and I think maybe down the road and however many years I could see going back to theme park management, because my heart is still in that as well. But the opportunities I've had singing and where it's taken me and around the world and Vegas and all these cool, I'm excited to see what else can happen.
Sure. Sam, since you do work in the entertainment field and you obviously are doing well enough to pay your rent by working in it, how did you get started? What was the initial break that you got? Because I'm sure that other people are contemplating careers like this and don't even know where to begin.
When I decided to make this a career, I wanted to go full force with it. And I was actually living in Orlando. I had just finished my time with Disney. So I took a job actually at Carrabba's restaurant, serving tables and to make some money. And just, there's some classes you can take that kind of teach you about the audition process. And I made a lot of mistakes initially. I mean, you're supposed to have there's a lot of strict requirements about your headshot size, which is an 8x10 of a very certain quality. And your resume has to be in a certain, and that's like most, they require a very specific thing. and what image you're giving off in your audition and your headshot. So I learned a lot. I mean, my first audition I think was for Disney, and I went in with a Polaroid that I had taken of myself, and it was just I scribbled down some things of high school shows I had been in because that's really all I had
Sure.
to speak of. And like I said, nothing came from those, and they probably laughed as soon as I left the room. But eventually, you meet. A lot of it's meeting people and having coffee with people and learning about what they did and finding a photographer. And then so eventually, within a few months, actually, things started picking up in terms of doing some stuff in Orlando and some commercial work. And my first lucky break, really, my professional break was Jubilee in Vegas. They came to audition in Orlando. And I didn't actually know much about the show, which might be why it went so well, because I didn't have these expectations or this real hope.
Sure.
Your job is to audition all the time.
Right.
So it was just another audition, and it happened to go really well. And the thing is, once you start getting these jobs, it almost seems like a snowball effect
Sure.
because a lot of places won't hire you until they see that you have a certain
Sure.
number of credit on your resume.
So tell us a little bit about what some of your most memorable gigs were. What shows have you been in?
Now, most memorable, I think, would be the Vegas show, which a lot of people from Rodeph actually came to see. That was a showgirl review called Jubilee at Bally's Casino. And that's a real classic, it is a topless showgirl review. And I was the lead singer. We rotated that part, but I kind of blew my mind, actually, to be in a show that big. And there's 90 people in the show. And huge scenery and rhinestones and feathers and all that stuff. And at one point, I've told the story before, but if I was doing emceeing the opening of the show, I would raise my arms slowly and summon these giant elevators with 40 showgirls coming up out of the ground. And so it was just kind of a pretty unique experience. And did that show for a little under 2 years. And that was 6 nights a week, 2 shows a night.
Oh, boy.
I mean, that did the show almost 1,000 times. So that's pretty nuts. But in terms of also most meaningful, I think about a year ago I got to be in the show Rent, which was a big deal for me, and as a character Benny. And getting that call was one of those points where you realize this is why I'm here. I mean, it was one of the best days of my life, and that's a show I've dreamed about being in since I was
Sure.
12, 11 years old. While I'm in New York, I do some odd jobs here and there. I think a lot of people do because it's the only way you can really make this work.
Would you like to comment on the background, the floral background before?
Sure,
we
I'm
close this
actually.
interview?
I'm talking to you from my laundry room of my apartment in the basement, which happens to be a better internet connection than my shoebox of a room. But yeah, you're looking at a beautiful floral print that I'm sure was just recently picked out.
We just wanted to make it clear that it wasn't of your own doing.
I mean, it is, it does bring out this shirt a little bit, but it's definitely, you kind of live in the environment. I've lived and moved 5 different places since I moved here a little more than a year ago. So finally I'm settled for now, but I could pack up and be out in 20 minutes. I mean, it's just the way you kind of have to live here.
Sure. Are you familiar with the show American Idol?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Okay, well, would you consider going on it?
Oh, I'd consider going on it. Yeah, it's whether or not I'd be able to get on it is the issue. Now, I have never actually auditioned for it because the audition process is very much you go to an open call with thousands and thousands of people, and you stand in line for a day or two. And actually, for better or worse, I mean, I've been working as a performer when those auditions were coming around. So I wasn't able to go. Otherwise, I would have gone. I'm actually getting almost too old for it as well. Within a year or so, I think I'm going to be out of the consideration. So I guess if I do choose to do it, I just need to do it soon.
Yes.
I think it would be, obviously, it'd be great to get the exposure. I think I would need to prepare myself for how tough the critics would be, and that's something that I don't know if you ever really get over is responding to criticism. If it's presented well, that's one thing, but just being mean for the sake of being mean could probably screw with my head a little bit. So I need to be wary of that.
Do you know? Well, we need to do a follow-up interview if you get on.
I would love to do a follow-up interview if I can. One trend too is, especially on Broadway, a lot of shows are having a hard time selling tickets, so they're reserving a lot of the lead spots for movie stars and American Idol stars. So if I was able to get on American Idol, it would probably be a lot easier to then get to Broadway or something like that.
I'm Iris Ruth Pastor, and this chat has been with Sam Port, and the interview has been brought to you by Let My People Grow, which is an outreach and engagement initiative.